Wardsend Cemetery is an abandoned Victorian cemetery in the Owlerton district of Sheffield, England, consecrated by the Archbishop of York in 1859 and closed to legal burial in 1968. The ground on which the cemetery stands was originally purchased by John Livesey in 1857, the vicar of the nearby St Philip's Church, as an overspill burial ground. The first burial at Wardsend was of a 2-year-old girl named Ann Marie Marsden in 1857. She is, in keeping with tradition, the guardian of the cemetery. Since its loss of status as a legal burial ground, Sheffield City Council have done little to maintain the cemetery, and it has fallen into neglect, save for the efforts of a conservation group, the Friends of Wardsend Cemetery, who, along with offering guided walks of the site, aim to cull the Japanese knotweed that has overgrown the area. 1862 riot. On the evening of June 3, 1862, the cemetery was the location of a turbulent riot by angry Sheffield citizens, against accusations that the Reverend John Livesey and his sexton Isaac Howard were neglecting to bury corpses, and instead selling them to the city's medical school for use in anatomical dissection. The rumours were proven false, and Livesey and Howard were instead fined by York Assizes for reusing graves in order to save space. However, both were later paid compensation for the damage caused to their property during the riot, and Livesey was reinstated as the vicar of St Philip's Church. Today, Livesey Street, now home to the Hillsborough campus of the Sheffield College as well as the back entrance to Owlerton Stadium, is named after the Reverend Livesey. A memorial stone at the nearby War Garden in Hillsborough Park alludes to the unrest. It is a stone 4 feet long by 18 inches wide, designed to lie flat on the ground and cover a grave. The inscription reads, "To the affectionate remembrance of Frank Bacon, who departed this life April 2, 1854, aged 3 years. Also Louis Bacon, aged 4 months, buried in Wardsend Cemetery April 12, 1858. And was one of the many found in 1862. Who had been so ruthlessly disinterred." Further information: the cemetery was originally linked at its Hillsborough entrance by Wardsend Bridge, a 2-arched stone structure built in the 18th century to exclusively provide access to the burial ground. However, after its destruction by the Sheffield floods on June 25, 2007, it was rebuilt as a 31.2-foot wide single-span integral bridge at an estimated cost of £673,000 and reopened in early 2009. The graveyard is also noteworthy for being the final resting place of George Lambert, a highly decorated Irish soldier, for holding graves of many victims of the Great Sheffield Flood of 1864, and being the only cemetery in Britain with an active railway line passing through it. The cemetery also contains an obelisk dedicated to soldiers who died at Sheffield's Hillsborough Barracks, just down the road from the cemetery. There are also buried here a number of service personnel who died in the First and Second World Wars, but because their graves are now unmaintainable by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, their names are listed on a screen wall memorial in Plot H of nearby City Road Cemetery. Sheffield Archives offers much material on the history of the cemetery, perhaps most significantly a detailed narrative account of the 1862 riot and subsequent court hearings entitled Extraordinary Doings in a Cemetery in Sheffield by Ivor Highhorn, and a 2013 dissertation project called Crisis of Confidence, the public response to the 1862 Sheffield resurrection scandal by Jordan Lee Smith. A black-and-white photograph of the cemetery and the nearby Cooper's Scrapyard features on the artwork of Castleton blues rock band Ringer's self-titled debut album, released in 2013. References. External links: Sheffield Bereavement Services, Friends of Wardsend Cemetery, newspaper report of the trial of John Livesey, essay about the Hillsborough Barracks obelisk, Hillsborough War Garden, reflections on a first visit to Wardsend.